I don't think this is going to be a fish out of water story. A fish out of water story is when someone goes to an alien place, location that they're not familiar with, sees everything different about it, and comedy relief ensues, right? So, say we have Prince Adam. We're not talking about the movie now. We're just doing a scenario. Say we have Prince Adam. He comes to Earth for the first time, and he says, wow, your tigers are orange here? Laughs ensue. Or say Prince Adam or Adam is an earthling and he comes to Eternia and he's never been on Eternia before. And he goes to Eternia and says, wow, your tigers are green here? Laughs ensue. That's kind of like the fish out of the water story. But here, it doesn't seem to be quite that, because it seems like, according to the synopsis, at 10 years old, Prince Adam crashes to Earth. So he's already familiar with green tigers. He's familiar with Cringer. He's familiar with green tigers. I don't think we're going to be focusing on a 10-year-old that much, except in the beginning of the story. I imagine Eternia is going to be attacked, possibly King Randor killed, right? And they need to save Prince Adam, so they do like a Superman thing, right? They put him on a pod and send him away, and they send him to Earth because Queen Marlena came from Earth and she knows it's a safe place. And then as a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, I guess 20 years later, he comes back to make things right. He locates the power sword. This is just based on this initial synopsis. And he comes back. So I think if primarily the story will be when he's 30 years old, coming back to Eternia, first, I don't suspect them to be on Earth that much. And by that point, when he's 30, he's familiar of the workings of Eternia and green tigers, and he's familiar with the workings of Earth and orange tigers. So I don't really think it becomes a fish out of water story, because he's familiar with both worlds. It's not like a surprise. What I think this allows is pop culture references, kind of like Star-Lord, right? That's a perfect example. Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord. Because in Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord is kidnapped when he's a child on a spaceship. Next thing you know, what happens? 20 years later, we meet him as an adult on a different planet, and he's stealing that orb, right? So we're not seeing all that fish out of water content. He's familiar. Star-Lord was familiar with being in space. Star-Lord was familiar with spaceships, space guns, all the technology, all the different races. What he brought with him was pop culture references. He brought with him, the music that he loved. He brought with him his love for Kevin Bacon and Footloose, everything that he experienced as a child. So I think primarily most of this movie can take place on Eternia, and the only thing fans are dealing with is pop culture references. It's not really like a fish out of water story. And if that's it, you know what, guys? I'm okay with it. I'd rather see that and then a true He-Man, a true Evil-Lyn, a true Castle Grayskull, a true Skeletor. I'd rather see that than what we saw in the CG show, the 2021 kids show. And let me explain what I mean. I have nothing but love for that kids show. But that kids show severely altered the mythos, right? The mythos of how He-Man works, how Castle Grayskull works, how many people transform with the power. I mean, geez, Prince Adam came from the Tiger tribe. Totally different. And people are like, I could see people complaining, like, I want this fully on Eternia. That show was fully on Eternia, but a lot of people complain they changed too much. So I rather have the Eternia that most fans know. But this little Earth segue.